We haven't started yet.
Yes, I've started recording.
Okay. Whew.
Okay.
Was lost in there.
That was close, Obina.
That was
Yeah, it was
close,
like
right?
a guy. It was like 1% red. Like
Why is it red? You didn't put your low energy thing.
no, because I was in this meeting. Normally I do, but I
Okay.
just forgot, and I was just like, I don't know, I was so like into what we're talking about. I just looked at it. I said, "Yeah,
So
okay."
we we want to dive into this AI governance situation, right? And maybe create a kind of study guide to help us drive the conversation. Okay. And as part of it, as I'm building this intelligence platform, right, based on a data analytics integration tool in the cloud using something called Genie Space in a platform called Azure Databricks, right? Another agent is doing something you would call maybe a marketing prediction tool set, right? It predicts, you give it, you tell it you have this amount of money to spend and you want to be able to estimate or infer how much you could potentially make if you invest this amount of money into a product in your grocery outlet, right? And it should be able to do that for you. So there's one agent in this intelligence platform that I'm building that can do that for you, give you a potential sales lift or return based on a spend, right? That's the second agent. Then I have an agent also that will do just general knowledge search for you on the internet. So you can ask general knowledge questions of the platform, and you know how to route that question to a general knowledge search agent that will do that for you. So I'm adding more features, probably adding more agents as we discuss and we talk about. Maybe we could have a claims processing type thing that will involve agentic RAG. That's something we could also add to it and build that in the future. But as we're doing it, right, because you rightly said, let's think about governance holistically, right? And my first thought was, okay, let's use Copilot, GitHub Copilot to figure out what are some of the AI governance requirements. That's my prompt, the first prompt that I just thought about. What are some of the AI governance requirements I need to implement for this platform? And how can I apply them? Okay. Whatever it's going to return for me include things like AI safety guardrails, prompt protection, and also include secure logging with EntraID. EntraID, like I mentioned earlier, being the identity access management. Sorry, Ngozi?
Identity access management platform
Or framework, right, that we're going to be using to manage logging, secure user logging to this platform, right? So it gave me a first iteration of, it gave me some code, but I don't care for the code right now, right? I'm more interested in like its high level architecture that it just gave me. So it gave me this AI governance layers, right? And so I think I want to tell it, build me a README file that covers all the AI governance layers mentioned above and anything else that needs to be covered for AI governance, right? Generally. Then I'm gonna say I don't need any code examples, just a high level, because what I call it, table of contents.
Executive. Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say high-level executive summary, but okay, table of content.
Yeah, let's start with something like a table of content or whatever. Because if you have a fancier word, that table of content is fine too. Contents.
or outline.
She's a lawyer. Thank you. Content or outline. Then I like the fact that it started with
Authentication and authorization.
exactly, right? Let's say, then I'll say start with these. So just the fact that it mentioned authentication and authorization using the EntraID, RBAC group-based access to the platform, while Copilot is figuring out a shindig, it's going to give us a README file, right, that we're going to work with. I think let's look at what I've tried to do so far with authentication and logging with EntraID, right? So I think the first step will be, let me start the application. And like I said, the application is built on using a UI UX framework called Chainlit. It's open source, right? With Chainlit, you just need to do minimal customization and you have a front end that works for you. So I'm just going to start the app. While that is starting up, right, we will switch to Azure, right? So this is a Microsoft Azure platform or portal,
Yep.
right? And since we want to look at, first of all, how to, some of the steps that will need to be, done or completed, right, before we can have a secure logging in place for this platform. Let's go through some of the steps. So we go to, click here. What I simply did was, there's so many options here. There's resource groups, which is a kind of like a logical boundary where you create resources or services and you add them to that resource group where you can organize and manage your resources, right? But let's look at EntraID. EntraID is the access control and identity management framework on the Azure side of things. So hopefully it doesn't take too long to pull up the page. If it's taking too long, I won't waste my time. Right. So I had some of these accounts in place right now, right? So we could say, let's create a new user, for example. Right? A new user would be, let's say, Ngozi. Right? And display name is Ngozi Tracy. Right? And it wants to auto-generate a password, right? And I'm just going to copy that password. But you know what? I'm recording, so I don't want to be showing passwords around and all that good stuff. So I've copied it. We'll leave it alone like that for now. And we'll say next. So first name, let's just fill out one or two properties here. First name, Ngozi. Last name, I'll keep it at Tracy. Don't want to put this full name in this.
Right.
Exactly. Then job title. I would say.
CEO.
Go ahead, Ngozi.
I said CEO.
Hey, fire.
Right, wahala.
CEO. Company name. Do you have a company name, Ngozi, that we can put there? Or should I put something?
Anything for now.
Whatever, anything for now. Partner Gen AI. Hey, fire. Departments.
I only.
Let's just leave it. I'll keep it moving, right? Okay. So next, let's add her to a group. So again, we talked about we want to be able to manage or control access to this platform, right? I want to control access to this platform based on groups. So if me and Obina and Edwin do not belong to that group, we shouldn't be able to log in. If Ngozi belongs to that group, she should absolutely be able to log in. So I created a group earlier called Chainlit Intelligence, right? Whatever, just the name of the platform. And so anyone in this group should be able to log into this platform. So I'm going to do next. And we're going to do...
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of that Windows group management thing.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
way back stuff.
Yeah, that's stuff, man.
Yeah. It's
That's what it
similar.
is.
It's
Yeah.
similar. A lot has changed, obviously, but you know
Yes.
how it is.
The
Yeah.
fundamentals remain the
It
same.
remains the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we have a few of these properties in place, we're going to create, right? So if we do this, we have Ngozi Tracy username, user created, right? And she belongs to the Chain Lead Intelligence group, which means that theoretically she should be able to log into the Chain Lead Intelligence, whatever, right? So let me see if I can open an instance. Let me see. I want to do this in such a way that you know what? Because I'm sharing. You know what? I know what I'm gonna do. Cool. Okay, yeah. So our vibe coding situation is in play, and what has happened here is that GitHub Copilot has created a README file for us with what's it called? With an AI governance, outlines that we need to consider. So it gave us 12 items in the table of contents. That's amazing, right? So authentication and authorization, input protection, prompt security, AI safety guardrails, human oversight, human in the loop, output protection, which kind of is based on what your AI agent is going to output for you. You want to make sure that it's legit, right? Audit and compliance, that's a big deal. Data governance, you want to make sure that the data, PII, PHI are not being exposed, right? And the right people have access to the right things, not that Obina and I have access to Edwin's $1 million income salary in this based on Ngozi's $1 billion.
Amen. Amen.
Ngozi's $1 billion thing in her stock options in the vault. We don't want to have access to that, right? But if they give us access, it's all good too. Model governance. We want to make sure that the right governance policies are applied on a model level. That's a big deal. Big deal.
Design in depth,
right? Responsible AI principles, ethics, standards, fairness, and all that good stuff. Risk management, because I know you can speak a lot to some of these. Incident response, logging, exceptions, notifications, alerts. Regulatory compliance, because you just mentioned the EU AI Act and a bunch of different things. So, and then it gave us some outlines here. As a matter of fact, the best way to read this is let's preview it. Open preview. Dude, it's actually good we did this call, man, because I'm not sure that we would have made
Yeah, I love this. I love this. Even the formatting is, it looks clean. That's one thing I really love about like AI, where it's like, even during the iteration phase, like now I'm building something unlovable, just seeing you're building your idea, just like
look at the references.
Look at the references. Straight because you see
wow.
NIST.
You're right.
Look at the references.
It's not the AI standard, EU AI Act. These are the things because you just mentioned
right. OWASP and everything, yeah.
OWASP. Right. So this is exciting stuff, right? It just gave us, we have an outline right now, guys.
You actually have an outline to write a book right now.
Yes.
You know.
If anything, we'll give you the ginger. If you're not ginger, you
this video is being transcribed, right?
Yes, it is.
It is. So we have this README, and we're going to expand on it also in the coming weeks, right? But let's just continue what we're doing as far as some of the stuff right? So let me create a quick text file where I can store, let's do training whatever .text, right? So that's Ngozi's password. It doesn't matter, nobody can hack it. We're going to change it anyhow and delete the whole thing, right? So Ngozi is a member of the Chain Lead Intelligence group, right? We also want to copy her username because we want to be able to log into the app using her username, right? Obviously. So let's take a look at some of the other things we did to be able to get that authentication between the chainlit UI UX platform and the its integration with EntraID, which is the access control framework in Azure, right? So the first step was we created something called an app registration, right? And usually to create an app registration, you go to the EntraID, go to the app registration module, give it a display name, select if you want this app registration to work within your single tenant or multiple tenants plus your personal account, right? Or just your personal account only. We're interested in just a single tenant, Contoso here, right? Or because this company partner gen, multi-million dollars, right? And then we want to give it a redirect URL. Redirect URL is the URL that your app will send its request to on the EntraID framework to request something called a token. A token is just an extensive, very long password that will only be alive for a limited amount of time, so that the chances of being able to hack it are very, very limited. Because before you be able to jump through all the hoops, get access to that token, it probably has expired, right? So we're not going to create a new app registration right now or register a new app because I already have one in place, right? And I called it Chainlit app, right? And when you create an app, one of the other things you got to do for that app is give it a secret. A secret is simply a very complex password, right? And if you notice, I can't even see it. I can only see the first 3 characters, right? And I can't see anything else, right? But the first time you create the secret, it exposes the entire, all the alphanumeric characters for you. What you're supposed to do is copy it, store it somewhere safe, and then go put it in your key vault. And we're going to look at the key vault very shortly, right? Because as soon as you do that and you navigate away from this page, you can't have access to that password anymore. This is not a password, it's just the ID that is a representation of that client secret. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Because I took a couple cybersecurity classes myself, so all this stuff is like very familiar to me.
Okay, great. So now we have this app registration created within EntraID, and we've created a user principal or user account called Gozi that we added to a group, right? But we also need the app registration, which is the this app registration. We need it to create it because it is the go-between or the integration point between EntraID and this chainlit UI UX framework that we're using, right? Chainlit will use that EntraID to manage the interaction between the user and EntraID to make sure that the user belongs to that EntraID directory or database, and that they have the required role-based access control to be able to log into that UI UX framework or platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay, great. Then the next thing we do here is we set up something called an API permission. API permission is simply, an API means application programming interface, right? Right. But what you're doing here is setting up the permissions for the app registration to be able to have access to something called Microsoft Graph. Microsoft Graph is just a big word that is used to represent all the data collection components within Microsoft ecosystem that will enable an app, or yes, an app in this case, to access whatever is available within the Microsoft ecosystem, right? And we don't have to grab all this right now, obviously, but it's just for us to get an idea. So let's say we want to add a new permission for this app registration we created, right? And we say, I want to be able to give access to this Chainlit app to access Microsoft Graph, which is this Graph API. And within that Microsoft Graph API, I want to delegate permission to this Chainlit app for certain components within Microsoft Graph. And the permission I want to give is group member permission. So I want a member of a specific group to have access to whatever components are required for that group. Is this jiving still, guys? Even if it's not jiving, it's okay.
No, absolutely. So ultimately, No, I mean, it makes sense because ultimately, like, by you connecting that to Microsoft Graph, everybody who has access to that group membership should have access to those features of Microsoft Graph.
Yes. Right. So it's an involved process, but it's fine. There are different ways to do it.
So curious, Chinadu, like with that in mind, like, I mean, of course, it's Microsoft, but like, what do you think about the security component of linking Chainlit app to Microsoft Graph? Because having access to all that data is good, but then what are those security guardrails that Microsoft themselves has?
Exactly. So if you notice, first of all, you're not exactly giving Chainlit access to Microsoft, right? You're allowing Chainlit to interact with Microsoft Graph
for the data
through this app registration for only specific item. And that item in this case is someone that has group membership. Thank you. Group membership to the group that we're going to define later on.
Yes.
And that permission is just
read all, right? You can't write, you can't make any changes, right? Like
exactly.
Like almost like how like, remember when you took the Linux things and you did the command line and yes, okay, certain things had rights,
execute,
all that. So I remember.
So I want this Chainlit app to be able to, based on the group that I specify, to read that group membership and determine who is a member of that group. If Ngozi is a member of that group, okay, great. Then allow her to access the Chainlit UI UX
exactly
into the app intelligence AI agentic platform that I'm building.
Right, and then anybody who's not part of that group and doesn't have access
gets bounced.
Is Casper the friendly ghost to them? They can't see it.
They're just bounced. Cast them out. Just cast them out. You understand? So I'm going to close this out, right? I already assigned that permission, and that's all that I need to do. There's another option for doing this. It is more involved, where you have to set up something called a token configuration with names. You could also do app roles. There's a bunch of
that's interesting. I like those. So within everything, what would you say is the biggest difference between token configuration and expose on and app roles?
Excellent. So the main difference between the API permission side of things and the token configuration is one. There are a few more configuration steps. That's one.
Yes.
Critically two, there's a limit to the number of groups an individual can belong to. So let's imagine that this platform that we're building right now, like a prototype we're just playing with, that is scaled and it starts doing a huge thing for so many users, right? And the company takes it out, and you now have a platform that is managing that has hundreds of thousands of users blasting that app, logging into that app on a daily accuracy, right? At that point, this token configuration has the limit of, if the user belongs to more than 200 groups, I think it's 200 is the number, it breaks. It will not be able to handle it, right? And there are users that could belong to so many groups now. Right now, that's not the case. But go ahead.
So I just had a question. So when you said like it will break after more than 200 users, so is it that it'll just tell you that there's a cap? It will give you like a warning saying, okay, you've reached the limit, or it will allow people, but then it would just kind of like start having system glitches?
That's the thing. It wouldn't even allow. I think You won't be able to log in. It will not be able to log in. It won't be able to process user
I
authentication
see.
requests.
I see. Okay. Okay.
So new
But
users
like
won't be able to create.
there's no like notification letting you know. It's just it kind of stops processing. Is that
And
what it is?
I think there'll be, I haven't tried it, but I think there'll be some sort of error notification on the front end.
That's what I'm thinking myself
Yeah.
too.
Now
Just
the
to
user might not be able to figure out what it is because I don't know, it might be some cryptic exception message, right? But it's the administrators in the back end that would have to go take a look and be like, oh, this is what it actually is. So in the logs, in the actual application logs, I'm sure you're going to be able to see something to tell you, oh, this app has reached the limit of group memberships that it can process for specific users, right? So that user will not be able to log in, right? So, but again, there's a way you can build the application so that even in the front end, the user will see what the problem is, and it becomes easy to start, debugging and trying to figure out and fix it, right?
right.
Yeah. So it'll work for a small platform that doesn't have users spanning across hundreds of groups, right? But the API permission pretty much, removes that problem, so you don't even have to deal with it.
So what you're trying to say is the API permission is way better than token configuration.
I would say that the Microsoft Graph API permission is better. Because
Yeah, it seems like it because the token for
scalable.
configurations, token for configuration is definitely for something local for sure.
Yeah, I think token configuration would also work for a huge platform that's hosted, people are using it. But like the wording doesn't use here is scale. You want something that can scale and doesn't have those limitations, right? So as your application is scaling, something like a Facebook that has hundreds of millions of users on a daily active usage, bro, you don't want to deal with that kind of,
Right. Now curious with now that we have a bit more understanding of like how token configuration works and some of its limitations, what about app roles?
App roles, yes. I think you can. I looked at it briefly, but here you can define what roles will have access to that group, right? You name the role. First of all, you create the roles, create the app roles, right? And it's by name, right? And I think
I get it now. It's like it's very similar to setup with Windows permissions, where it's like you can have like an accounting department, you create that into a role, you create, this is I don't know, my data scientist or whatever.
Yeah. And so users in this group, you map them to that role.
Right.
They are mapped to that role, and then you define that on the UI UX chainlit code side.
Yes. That makes sense.
That also works too. But I've not tried it yet.
I think that would be very cool. Like to me, I love things like app roles for the back-end users, the people who are doing the work that nobody sees type of thing. Like so can you do both app roles and still have the Windows, what was that thing called again? The graph, the Microsoft Graph. Can you have both of them kind of operating interchangeably where you have app roles for, like, let's say, I don't know, me and Edwin were under a specific role umbrella, and then you guys were on a whole nother role umbrella, but we still had access to the Microsoft Graph, and it was doing its thing in terms of the users who were housed in the chainlit app system.
So I think it's possible to do two different techniques at the same time, depending on your requirement. You want what sets of users depending on, the requirements of those users for that platform. You set them up with API permissions, but then maybe a smaller set of users, you can give them token configuration because they're very limited. It's a limited set of users. And then maybe for another you use the app role technique, right, for another set of users. So I think it's possible. I haven't tried it.
Yes.
But I'll go off the bat and say yes, it's probably possible to have.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But yeah, no, I mean, that's when it comes to any kind of platform, I'm the kind of person who's like, what does manifest do? What does roles like? Just so at least, even if I know I'm not using it, at least I'm aware of what it does.
Yeah. And again, keep in mind, there's Copilot here, right?
Yes. So you can ask it questions, right?
Just go into Copilot and ask it, and it'll just, as your Copilot will just straight up tell you everything you need to know about
Yes.
Each of them.
Exactly. So
beautiful.
Here we created a client secret for this app registration, right? We could also make it a federated credential, which is great. Which is in this case for this federated credential, you're not using a secret, right? It turns it into something called an identity, a managed identity within the Azure framework for that chain layer, for that app registration you just created. So you don't need to manage a secret, which is a complex password, right? And all you need is it manages the whole thing in the back end for you. You don't have to do any client secret situation. This is these two, the certificate and the client secret option, have been around for a long time. Federated credentials is newer than them. If I was doing anything moving forward, I'll probably use federated credentials, right? So just wanted to mention that.
No, it makes sense though.
But I thought the federated credentials is if you have more than one. In this case, let's say we have more than one app and we want to be able to, just log into one app. When you log into one app, you automatically are able to log into the other app or the other platform. So you don't have to continue to sign in and out into other platforms. For instance, I'm working in an organization and there's ADP connected to this organization, there's Workday connected to this organization. And if I do my usual login as a user at the beginning of the day, I would be able to, just move to Workday. I don't even need to, once I click on Workday, I don't need to put my password anymore. Since I'm already in that environment, I'll be able to access Workday. I'll be able to access all the sub.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is a single sign-on. Is that?
Yeah, I thought single sign-on kind of worked with federated credentials in a way.
So and I could be wrong, we need to research this so I can be very, very sure what I'm saying. I think they're kind of like two separate things, right? With client secrets, you can still do single sign-on with client secrets, right? Federated credentials is not specific to single sign-on. Single sign-on is its own thing that's been around for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
You can just have client secrets and you configure single sign-on, right? But I don't think that federated credentials are specific only to SSO, single sign-on. You can do single sign-on even with client secrets. I haven't set up single sign-on, but I think it's something that is fairly straightforward to set up, whether you have client secret or certificates option or federated credentials option. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
So I think that's a different thing. But again, see, now you guys are forcing that whole let's check this out, let's see if it handles this or it doesn't handle that. And again, I've not tested federated credentials. Maybe during the week I'll just do a quick research on how it works and maybe implement it for a different user group and see how it goes. But I don't think it's specific to single sign-on. That is assuming that what you're describing is single sign-on, because is that what you're describing? Single sign-on?
It's single sign-on, but it's also kind of federated because single sign-on is within your organization.
Within your org.
Federated is not within your organization.
Across I see what you're saying right now.
That use your resource.
You want to be able to use the same username to log into different platforms. Yes. So
that use your resource.
Yes, I get what you're saying. So it's possible. I don't know. I need to research and find out. I need to research and find out. Yeah, totally. I get what you're saying. Right now.
No, but it's a good thing though. Just like I kind of like hinted at, where like even this to me, like think about it. Like normally we go from like 6 p.m. to 7, maybe 7:05. Right now 7:24. And that lets you know that like we're actually engaged, we're trying to like do something, we're all like using our like corporate brain in this like
so what I'm trying to do is like I'm gonna go through this thing again, and probably by next week, I don't know if someone has a presentation, but I think what I'll be doing is, I don't know if you want to do the same. Is go through it. If I have questions, then I bring it onto the platform. Is something that Chini can actually help with answering and stuff like that. But try and do self-practice, self-learn as much as you can.
Oh, absolutely. That one.
then when you have where you have problems or where you can't figure things out, then you bring it to the platform.
No, I agree with you, Edwin. Like, absolute, like that one is like, even as once we hop off this call, like I was going to relax a little bit, but this has gingered me where there's some certifications I had on the back end to like take care. So self-learning is definitely a must in this space. You can't be looking for.
Let's try and just let me walk through some of these
wrap
things.
up.
Yes. Let's
So
do
I
that.
think the last thing here, there's a bunch of other things you can do here, right? Multi-factor authentication is already baked in, so I don't have to do anything about that. The last thing I want to show here is the redirect URI. Yes, this is because I'm running this application right now on my local machine, right? If I was running it hosted somewhere else, I'll be using the URL here, right?
Right.
When say Ngozi's account tries to log into the application running locally, this is the URL our Chainlit is going to send to EntraID to help say, hey, this is me. This is URL I'm using for this. It will first of all present a screen that is EntraID related, and then redirect to EntraID. EntraID authenticates and handshakes with Chainlit that because it's legit, and then it rolls right back into the app to allow for access, right? So this determines that. So this piece of configuration item is crucial, right? I needed to show us this. Now, let me also show us the, what's it called? Key Vault. Key Vault is like, we have the secret, right? Key Vault.
Right. So it's kind of like where all the private keys are housed.
Yeah. Private keys, all those complex passwords, connection strings, IDs that you want to make sure that those things are not flying around anywhere in your code or somewhere they're not supposed to be, so that someone doesn't hack it from some country.
Right.
This is where you store you give it whatever name you want and you store it here, right? If I click show secret, it'll show me the actual secret if that's what I want to do, but we don't need all that,
right?
We don't need all that. So let's take a look. So our application is running. Let me close this out. Where's my app? Where is that? Okay. So the app is running. And so let's go attempt to log into this app. Hopefully everything is running as everything is supposed to be running. All right. So let's open an incognito window and do this. So you see, right? This is the UI UX. I didn't do a lot of customization. It was a waste of my time. The only customization I did was just add the logo for this company, this fancy logo, right? And so because I already did the configuration to tell Chainlit, use this app registration like I showed when we're off camera, right? Before we started recording, right? You remember I showed you guys the ID and the secret for the app registration I created, the ID of the group that should be given access to this app. All that stuff is already defined in that environment variable file, right? And I made it accessible to Chainlit. So Chainlit knows how to read it and use it to determine, okay, let me go find this app in Azure Graph API using this URL, this redirect URL, and ensure that Ngozi should be logging into this platform, right? So because I already set up those variables that I showed earlier and fed it into Chainlit has already read it and knows, boom, this authentication you need to have access to this platform using Microsoft EntraID. If it was Okta, it will show me a different thing. I'll have to do the configuration parameters for Okta, merge it with Chainlit. It will show me an Okta front end and do the same thing. But this is Microsoft, so let's continue.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we use Okta at Uber. It's interesting.
That's what most organizations use.
Who is most? Because which most?
Okta is the biggest.
Well, see how.
For identity access management, Okta is the
biggest. Let's calm down, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Most of what? Most. So Let's do this. So we're gonna log into.
Oh wow. The funny thing is gradually this app is just coming to life.
Well, yeah.
Every time we do this thing, you're
Yes.
getting something else. Now we
Wanting
already have
something new.
No, but
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying though, Chinedu, like seriously, like I mean it. This is now the point where we balance. What was that load balancing? Yeah, we balance the weights. Are we going to set up raid 2 or raid 1? Like, how are you going to do? So that
Exactly.
way it's not just you that has the responsibility of building certain things. Like for me,
We're
I'm
going to
comfortable.
distribute. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
going to
yeah, yeah.
distribute that, right? So let's run through this quickly.
Yes.
Then we'll just based on that outline we have, we'll start, spreading things across, right?
Okay.
So this is a login. It wants to. What it's trying to do here is set up. What's it called again? Multi-factor authentication, because this is the first
Right.
time because this account is logging in.
I'm
So
not really a fan of this. I have this stuff on my phone, but I like Authy better than this one.
yeah, they're all doing the same shit.
I think they have Microsoft and they have Google as well. Oh, okay. Well, it's good. So you said Google and sorry,
yeah,
Yeah.
Google and Apple. It works for both.
yeah,
Yeah,
authenticator. That's nice.
yeah. So okay, so I'm gonna scan Walker School account, scan QR code, and boom, it's activating right now. And good. We have, because his account's in the authenticator. To next, he gave me 60. I'm gonna approve. Approve. Is it approved? Go, bro. There you go. Okay. Wait, we added Ngozi. Okay, so yeah, current password. What was that current password again?
I think you copied and you just need to paste it.
Okay, it's in the clipboard, right? Okay, great. So right there, new password. Okay. Hopefully I got the password situation right. Oh, okay. Unauthorized.
That means you didn't get the password.
No, it means Guzzi is not authorized. So let me see real quick. Oh, you see? Unable to validate open authentication states. So let's see. So what are we missing? There's a bunch of errors. So this is what you would see, someone would go to the back end and take a look, right, and see what exactly is going on, what is happening.
Why can't she sign in?
See, or
Very handy at the above
state does not correspond, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of different things. Okay, so let me close down the app. And so this is great. I'm glad we saw this. So you see, because it's not authorized to log in. It's possible I'm missing something, right? So let me run the app again.
But it's a good problem to have too.
It's good. It's
yeah,
good,
it's a
right?
good problem to have.
But it looks like there's a further problem, right? Because I can log in. Let me try. This time I'm going to try and log in with a user that doesn't belong to the group.
Okay.
Yes. So let's go back to. So that's a good thing, actually, right? That we had that situation, right? So let's go back to groups. Let's just confirm the group user, group membership, right? All groups. Chain lead intelligence. Manage. Members. See, I have two members here, Nathan and Ngozi, right? And so Ngozi should have access. Oh wait, is there something I did for this user that I didn't do from Ngozi? Let me see. I don't think so. Edit properties. Let me see. So there's this.
Maybe you can check the user type too for Ngozi, because I saw that Joan had member group type. I don't know if it's the different ones or it's just that one that's been enabled so far?
Yeah, we'll take a look shortly, right? Let me see. Roll
Okay.
Nothing here, right? Let's see. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so let me look up the membership again. Member type here. User type is just a member.
Yeah.
There's nothing here, right? Let me see. What did I do here? Nothing here really, right? So
You still have the password for June?
yeah, I use the password for across the board so that I don't. I use so that I don't forget anything, right?
Do you
So
want to log into June? Let's see.
okay, we're gonna do. Actually, that's a good idea. Let's try for a user that actually belongs there, right? So I started the app again. Okay, it's running now, right? And let's open another incognito window and let's copy. So this is actually good because and it shows us if we have time we can debug. If not, we can go and take it offline and we'll figure out what's going on. So Control C. This is our login. Okay, do this. So where's that user? That other user. So we'll copy this. And we'll do
Okay, Edwin. All right, no wahala, man. Have a good night.
See you tomorrow.
Baby. Okay. See, we'll talk, man.
Okay.
All right.
79.
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. It's gone.
Okay, there you go.
They will be. I also send my transcripts to the group. Okay, yeah, I'll send my transcripts to the group.
He's gone.
Okay, great. So let's see. Yes. Boom. So this is our login. And then if we look here, I printed some logs to show me access granted. The user is a member of the group. See?
That means Ngozi was not properly configured into.
Yeah, there's probably something I missed.
So it's the group configuration that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, so maybe there's something I missed as far as Ngozi. I need to go check that out, right? And so let me, if I log off, and I try to log back in again with
Ngozi.
Let me try to. Oh, let's see. I need to fix this. This is something else I need to fix. So that I log off, and it completely logs off that user, right? So let me close this window. Close the app. Restart the app, and I'll try again for Ngozi, and I have another user that I want to try for. Let's see.
Same thing.
No, the app is still.
Oh, my people, I have to go do something with my daughter very soon. Because she's about to leave.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
Yeah, but what I'll do is I have my recording from what we've captured so far, like at least an hour and 18 minutes of stuff. So what I'll just do is once it's done processing, I'll just send it to the group chat. Do you want me to put it in general or the other one?
Either of them is fine. We have access to either of them. right?
Yeah, no, I was more so saying just for organization. I'm just trying to be dramatic.
Either of them is fine.
Okay. All right now.
Chi,
Yeah, but
bye,
he,
Chi.
oh, hey, he's giving her
Because it's
attention
Oh,
working
now.
it's
out.
fine. Yeah,
Because
so
it,
it's
Oh
working.
yeah.
wow. Oh,
So
so
you
what
see,
happened?
I think maybe it was the first time we logged in and we needed to change our password because it didn't let us
Okay.
log in because it was a temporary password we set up with it initially,
Yeah,
I
right?
yeah.
So we
see.
needed to change it and walk through that process. So it just timed out or something.
I see. I see.
But
Okay.
so if I ask a question of the data set, what tables exist in my data set? Let's do this last thing, then we'll log off. Right now, this is the app now running. The app is now going to hit my cloud data platform in Databricks and just hit one of the agents. Agents will hit the platform and try to figure out what tables exist. And I can ask questions of the data in that table and all sorts of different things. This is now core functionality as far as the intelligence or analytics skills or tools.
Yes.
The agent, right? So there are 8
Okay.
tables in your data
Yeah.
set. Then I can start exploring these tables. Like say, I don't have any SQL skills, no programming skills. I can start asking analytical questions, and it just
Right.
And then it will be doing the database and SQL, whatever it
in the
needs to
back
do
end.
for you.
Right
The
on the back end,
HTML.
you can always call on that
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah,
I've done
Yeah.
something like that similar
the
So
where
agent.
with this, we really don't need SQL anymore
no,
because
we
you
don't.
have this,
We
you
don't.
just and you can just interact with it. You know how
Yep.
before your boss will tell you, okay, give me this table. How do I like you try to translate using queries from SQL, but
Yep.
now you don't even need SQL anymore. You
No,
just
that's what I'm saying, Guzzy.
the
Like
agent will
I
just do
have
everything
this
for
thing
you.
called SQL AI. It's like this thing, and it's my tutor basically. Anything I don't understand from SQL, so like I don't need to know no SQL anymore. I mean,
Right.
relatively.
I think we got it going on, right? We have
Yeah.
it working.
Yes, yes.
We've looked at some of the secure authentication components of AI governance today, right? And I think we can next week we'll pick up another
Yeah.
topic in that outline, right? And try to deal with it and go from there.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
so curious now. So with everything in